Welcome back to Mac's Reaction once again. Hopefully you're enjoying the reactions because I'm enjoying creating them. Anyway, we're going to check out General MacArthur's promise. And we know what the promise was. He was in the Philippines. He had been in the Philippines, I think, for like 10 years or so, maybe longer, before war broke out. And unfortunately, they got chased out of the Philippines. The United States president said, "You need to leave," but he made a promise. And he promised, that he would be back. So let's check this out.
MacArthur knew little of defeat. A prodigy at West Point, first in his class, the most decorated American soldier in World War I, the Army's youngest Major General, and then youngest Chief of Staff. This was a man who not only made his way, but got his way. But his infallibility would be tested in the days and weeks following Japan's attack on Pearl Harbor.
Both World Wars. Hero in both. (1941).
The day after their attack on Pearl Harbor, the Japanese invaded the Philippines. General MacArthur had been in the Philippines since 1935, serving as a military advisor. By the end of December 1941, MacArthur, along with U.S. and Filipino units, had been forced to retreat to Bataan. For the next 2 months, MacArthur desperately tried to defend against the Japanese.
Overwhelming. Too many.
But in February 1942, President Roosevelt ordered MacArthur to abandon the country. The general escaped to Australia in March, and upon his arrival, made his intentions clear, famously stating, "I shall return." This was the kind of defeat MacArthur was unaccustomed to. He left behind some 70,000 U.S. and Filipino troops. Many would succumb to the infamous Bataan Death March.
It's terrible times
of the Japanese. MacArthur was bent on redemption, and for the next 2.5 years, made the Philippines his mission.
The capture of Los Negros bypasses Rabaul and further neutralizes that important sea and air base. The island contains a vital airstrip and places MacArthur's forces many miles closer to the Philippines.
After successfully battling his way through New Guinea, MacArthur finally had
the
Philippines
Philippines
in his sight. And on October 20th, 1944, the men of MacArthur unloaded on the Philippine island of Leyte.
Leyte. Isn't there a statue of him there? I think so. Look at that. Could you imagine?
Hours later, General MacArthur did exactly what he said he was going to do 2.5 years earlier.
Man of his word.
But now, fulfilling his pledge to the Filipino people, General Douglas MacArthur has returned, accompanied by overpowering military strength and by every able-bodied man who, under orders, left the Philippines with him.
"I shall return," had become "I have returned."
Gives me goosebumps.
But it was only the beginning of the liberation of the Philippines. In January 1945, MacArthur pushed into Luzon, the country's main island.
On northern Luzon Island, American troops move up the enemy-infested Villa Verde Trail.
Look at
that. On their
that.
side march Filipino patriots carrying food and ammunition.
Thank you, patriots.
It would be until July before the Philippines was declared liberated. And by then, only a third of the men MacArthur had been forced to abandon in 1942 were still alive.
Just a third.
But the general's determination to make good on his promise.
I love this picture. It just gives me goosebumps of him returning, you know. And it wasn't just the Americans. We need to definitely say the Filipinos helped a lot, because they did. Without both of them, it's not happening.
Would become legendary, recalled with pride in the years following the war.
Directing the attack, the general seemed to be everywhere at once. Every day, at some point in the front lines, his men would spot the familiar faded field marshal's cap and the outsized corncob pipe.
Man of men.
In his 6-decade-long military career, Douglas MacArthur's accomplishments were prolific.
60 years.
But it's the image of him wading ashore onto Leyte, corncob pipe in hand, that faded field marshal's cap. That's how the country best remembers the man too stubborn to give up on a promise.
Thank you. Men that change history, he's one of them. You know, he's definitely a man that changed history. Who knows if they wouldn't have came back? Who knows what would have happened? Who knows, you know, if I would even met my wife now? Who really knows? Because I don't. Nobody knows. But I didn't realize he was in the military for 60 years. That is a long, long time. And he was a hero, most decorated in World War I as well. That's amazing. But anyway, just goosebumps. People like this is people that we need to look up to and be like, damn, you know, thank you very much. There's a fly in here bothering me. But anyway, those are my feelings, my thoughts. Awesome footage. What do you think? And comment down below. Let me know. Let me know what I should react to next. And I'll see you next time. Peace.